This year, AFPD is proud to honor Senate Majority Leader Randy Richardville as the Legislator of the Year. He has a long-time history with the association and its members.
I've known Randy Richardville since the spring of 1974 when he tried out for the JV baseball team. And he made the team, and he played behind me. He played behind me in a few sports in high school. He was always a quiet, nerdy, bright guy back then. There's an old saying now today that you should have your daughters date the nerds because they'll run the world someday. Well, Randy's not going to run the world, but he's done pretty well for himself. We've been friends ever since.
Randy Richardville was elected to the Michigan State Senate in 2006. Upon re-election in 2010, he was elected as Senate Majority Leader by his fellow Republican caucus members. Prior to his election to the Senate, Randy spent 3 terms in the Michigan House of Representatives from 1999 to 2004. He has held a leadership position in the House in each of his terms, serving as the House Majority Floor Leader during his final term. Throughout his years in the legislature, Randy has been a leader in several areas, especially economic development and small business.
In the history of the AFPD, there have been many legislators, governors, mayors who have reached out to lend a helping hand to us. And right now, in this troubled time we're in, Randy Richardville is the man.
It was a really easy decision for AFPD to recognize Senator Richardville. Our long-lasting relationship with him ever since he was in the House of Representatives, his stances and his beliefs in small business owners. It doesn't really hurt that he's also the best friend of our chairman, Joe Bellino. They're both from Monroe. They grew up together. He understands what it takes for Joe to run his liquor store, and he really feels that wholeheartedly. He's actually brought that to the fold. This last year, the catering bill, for example, he single-handedly changed the dynamic of how that bill got through. The original bill would have left AFPD on the short end of the stick because of Senator Richardville and what he did within his own caucus. We were able to get a bill out that was favorable to our members as well as bring us to parity on liquor prices, liquor taxes. You know, since 1973, our stores were paying 1.85% more for a bottle of spirits, more than the bar or restaurant. And because of Senator Richardville and his efforts on the catering bill and our subsequent SB 331 bill, along with Senator Hune, that became a reality this year.
Well, Senator Richardville, as the Senate Majority Leader, many would say, including me, that makes him the highest ranking legislator in state government in many ways. And he's been a friend of small business. He gets the fact that it isn't government that creates jobs, it's small business that creates jobs, business people like our members of AFPD. And he has always supported, when he was in the House and now as the Senate Majority Leader, the concept that government should be about, where small business is involved, of creating an environment that is one that would make small businesses successful.
Government relations is a priority for AFPD as one of the many services they provide to their 4,000 members.
You know, our association's really been built on government relations compliance over the years. The last few years, we've actually developed programs that, you know, members save thousands of dollars on, you know, whether it's a Nestle water program or some of our other credit card programs. But at the end of the day, the big dollars, when you talk about the $1 million decisions that are made in the state, it all starts and ends in Lansing. And so that's why it's important to have good friends in the legislature, positions of power, because they could actually make or break our businesses. And especially with small businesses, with liquor regulations, what they are, and gas regulations, and so on and so forth. They're the ones that really, if they believe in us, help us. But if they don't understand our needs, they could really hurt us.
Well, if you go back to the grassroots of the people that we represent, the small business people in Michigan, 80% of all the jobs provided in the state of Michigan come from employers with 100 employees or less. It's the small mom and pops. It's the ones that have been in our communities for years. They've been contributing in so many different ways. Usually they're involved in a lot of the nonprofits. They're involved in charitable kind of work. And it's really the backbone of our economy. So when you talk about businesses in general, most people think of the bigger corporations as being the ones that are important to the economy. But not only to the economy, but the culture as well. Small businesses like the ones that AFPD represent are critically the backbone of our community.
Educating elected leaders about the association, its programs and issues is critical.
Randy cares about the people in his community and the businesses. He knows that without thriving business, we'll have no workers. Without workers, we'll have less people in the state. More people will leave our state for other states to work. So Randy's always looking out for the businessman. I know there'll be a lot of changes in our business the next 3, 4, 5 years. And I'm just happy we have Randy on our side to help fight for the small businessman.
Randy was born and raised in Monroe County. He has earned a degree in finance from Albion College and later earned his master's of management from Aquinas College. He and his wife Sarah have 2 adult children, Amanda and Adam, and make their home in Monroe County.
The great thing about Senator Randy Richardville is he's such a down-to-earth person, and he's been so effective on behalf of independent retailers and consumers all across Michigan that he's just had a great track record for business and people. And even when you consider all of his sheer power and influence in this state, he has never ever had to demand respect from anybody. But by the way he's conducted himself, he's earned respect from everybody.
He's just a great guy. You know, what he tells you, you could take that to the bank. He's a man of his word. He's not a person of many words, but when he says it's done, it's done. And that's one of the things during term limits, which is rare. And that's why we just, we're honored to have him here, and we're recognizing him.
He has probably the best ability to work with Democrats, independents, and Republicans alike, and that's so important. Senator Richardville also does this with a fair amount of humbleness and still a real commitment to his family. It isn't unusual for him to set up a meeting, and I go visit him in Monroe, and he's with his children, he's with his spouse, and so when he's not in Lansing, he's very committed to his family, and I think that's important to us. I think it's important in a foundation of our association to know that that's the kind of person that Michigan has sent to be the Senate Majority Leader.
Senator Randy Richardville understands the value small business brings to the state.
Well, one of the neat things about the AFPD is that they've got a cultural diversity. They've got people from lots of different cultural backgrounds. So immigrants into the United States a lot of times take over businesses and are entrepreneurial. They have an entrepreneurial spirit that sometimes we don't see from people that are native to this country. So seeing the diversity is an interesting thing for me. Watching them grow and adapt and also influence the culture here is, I think, partly what the United States is all about. So it's a pretty special organization to me.